So we're talking OG Jordan retro releases, and so far here in 2025, we've seen some great classics return, such as the Bred 85s. You got the white cement 4s, as well as the black metallic 5s. And when we talk about OGs, we're not talking about OGs like Travis Scott, not the original releases, but actually re-releases of original Jordans, the ones that Mike used to actually rock on the court. And we're about halfway through the year. We actually have only 5 more of these original Jordan retros re-releasing coming up this year. So we're gonna touch on those pairs today, and to kind of spice things up a bit, I'm actually going to be ranking them 5 through 1, with number 1 being the pair I feel like we're going to have the most problem with, probably the most popular amongst the bunch, which, don't get it twisted, all of these joints are fire, but I had to rank 1, which I feel like will be the most popular. So as far as today's list, we're not going to see any collaborations, not any new colorways, but actually true OG Jordan retros, which Mike rocked on the court back in the day. So coming in at number 5, we got the Jordan 8 Bugs Bunny, which is set to return coming up here in November. Now, when you talk about this sneaker, the Jordan 8 originally dropped, ahead of my time. This is when I was not into basketball yet, but I definitely have fond memories of the marketing campaign behind this release, which had a Looney Tunes center theme. You see, back in the 90s, like, Looney Tunes were absolutely everywhere. You couldn't escape seeing Looney Tune cartoons. They were all over the place. And it's kind of cool to see that this was a part of the original release of the Jordan 8, which then Looney Tunes, they went on to create Space Jam and all that. The rest is history. So when you talk about the Jordan 8, I would say it's a sneaker which maybe isn't as popular as some of the other Jordan models, like the 3s or the 1s or the 4s or anything like that, but there's still a dope release. Earlier this year, we did see the Aqua 8s return. So when you talk about these Bugs Bunny joints, definitely a great sneaker, which I feel like completes the Jordan 8s for this year. So this is going to be a dope one, set to drop coming up here in November. Let me know if you guys are excited for those ones right there. Now, next up at number 4, we got the Jordan 5 OG Fire Red. This is the black tongue version, which when you talk about the Jordan 5, specifically the Fire Red colorway, as far as OGs, there's actually 2 separate versions. I actually prefer the other version a little bit more, but when you talk about these Fire Reds, this one is a dope one. I don't believe we've actually seen these return since like 2013. So anytime you got a Jordan drop, which hasn't dropped in like 10 years plus, I always feel like there's going to be a good amount of demand. And salute to Z sneakerheads when you take a look back here at the various versions of this Jordan Brand Classic, which, by the way, Jordan Brand is actually celebrating the 35th anniversary of the 5. So black metallic 5s I mentioned earlier. We also had the grape 5s, and then this will complete the OG trifecta of 5s that we have dropping this year, which, when you compare the previous iterations back from the 1990 version, it looks like throughout the years, the 5s got a little more flat as far as the shape overall. So it's good to see the 2025 version seems to be a lot more true to form as you have in the original. And I mentioned that this wasn't one of my favorite versions of the Fire Reds, but I do appreciate the 23 detailing on the back heel area. And for the first time since the original release here, we got the Nike Air returning on the back. So this is a dope one, another OG classic, which I think a lot of sneakerheads will be excited to see returning. Now, coming in here at number 3, we got the Jordan 10 Shadow, which we will see set to drop coming up here in November. Now, fun little quick story about the Jordan 10 Shadow. This specific pair, I remember actually having a fake pair of these back in high school. You see, at the time, when it comes to fakes, I feel like we weren't super educated on like fake sneakers and everything like that, but we did know clearly that you had like your blatant fakes, like the clear joints, the invisible ones, like the SpongeBob pair. So when it comes to this one right here, I remember actually copping these at a flea market, rocking them a bunch, not even gonna lie. Quality, I would say, probably was decent on them, not even gonna lie. But when it comes to these being a fake, like, I blatantly knew they were fakes and just rocked them, and nobody ever cared. So it's cool to actually see these returning. Maybe for the very first time I can get the real deal Shadow 10s, which we have set to drop coming up here in November. So them joints are dope. I love the black, all black finish, the little pop of red with the Jumpman on the back. 10s are dope, man. I feel like the 10s are really dope. Cool to see them returning in a major way this year. And I did want to actually put these at number 2, but I'm actually going to be giving the Steel 10s the slight advantage over these Shadows, just due to the fact that these ones are going to be dropping first. So I think they're going to have a lot more appeal due to the fact that the first 10 that we see returning coming up this year. Now, rumor has it, these apparently are supposed to be very limited. A lot of these sneaker insiders are reporting that less than 20,000 pairs are actually going to hit the sneakers app. And anytime you have a shoe that limited, I feel like it's going to give a lot of people problems when trying to cop. Although we do have a busy weekend as far as sneaker drops, I think this is one that a lot of people are going to be gravitating towards. So love to see these 10s returning, even with the toe cap and everything like that. Last time we saw this sneaker return was, I believe, 2013. So again, 10 years plus since we've seen the 10s return. So when you take a look back at the various releases of the Steel 10s, I mean, honestly, like, you could barely tell the difference between any of the different versions. Of course, the 2005 pair, obviously the tongue, it looks like wasn't as high or as big as the newer versions, but I love the 2025 edition, which appears to be a little bit chunkier when you compare them to previous iterations, but then again, I could barely tell the difference. So 10 plus years since we've seen them joints returning. Let me know if any of you guys are excited to see these joints dropping this weekend. Maybe with all the excitement surrounding the Undefeated drop, who knows, maybe these could go under the radar, but based off of how limited these are rumored to be, I could see this as probably being like a Ferrari 14 type of situation where these sell out pretty quickly all across the board. And then at number 1, as far as the Jordan OG Classic, which I feel like is going to be the most popular, which we see returning coming up later this year, I had to go with the Taxi 12s, which for me personally, the Taxi 12s, I got a very special connection to this pair because the first year, which I got into watching basketball, MJ, he was rocking the Concord 11s. The Jordan 11s were just so iconic at the time, that full patent leather upper. So as far as the follow-up pair, you know, with these Taxi 12s, I would have to say that, like, upon my first initial reactions, remember, I was just a kid at the time, but I would say I was kind of disappointed, you know, coming off the 11s. I thought that was such an amazing shoe. And then for them to just drop the 12s, I just really didn't feel the same thing for the 12s. But this was actually my very first pair of J's, which I got as a kid. So I grew to love them. I wore the hell out of these, cleaned them up like every day after school. And they're just so iconic, which these have definitely gone down as one of the better Jordan retros of all time. I remember back in the day, they did have the little metal eyelets, which I think as of recently, they have replaced those with like a more cheap plastic alternative. So when we talk about this upcoming drop, it would be really cool to see Jordan Brand, you know, give us the metal eyelets, but it's not a deal breaker. And for me, I ain't even gonna lie, like, I'm definitely having a huge nostalgic trip. And I'm not out here buying up every Jordan retro drop like that, but I ain't gonna lie, man, these Taxis may have to make the list. When you talk about Jordan 12s, I think this is one of the more popular models. Every time you see a Jordan Brand drop the 12s, I feel like they always sell out no matter the colorway. We've seen different variations of these Taxis throughout the years, but this is gonna be the very true form of the Taxis, which I think last time we saw the true Taxis drop was 2018, which may not seem like it's that long ago, but you guys got to put some respect on these right here. This one's going to be a popular drop. We do have the French Blue 12s dropping as well, but I actually didn't consider them as a true OG because they weren't a part of that original release. But you know what? Matter of fact, I think those did drop during MJ's time on the Wizards. So the French Blues, you know, considered as a retro, like OG when you talk about 12s. I don't know, I guess we'll have to give those ones an honorable mention. So French Blue 12s, Taxis drop out of all 5 pairs. I think this is the one that's going to be the most popular of the 5. So if you guys disagree with my list, of course, it's all subjective. Jump in the comments, drop your list. And when you talk about OG releases, as far as Jordan drops, let me know which pairs you've already picked up this year and which pairs you're most excited to see return. Remember, this is just pairs for 2025, no collabs, no new colorways. We're only talking OG mics that MJ actually rocked on the court. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Drop your feedback on the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like. Plus, if you made it all the way through the end, help support the channel by dropping a salute. Let me know down below. JATV, I appreciate everybody. I'll check in with you guys here soon. In the meantime, stay safe, stay blessed. I'm out. Love.